I mean, I'm not doing what's in our bylaws,
We're all good.
so I think we should. Okay. You know,
Thank you.
it being 5:30, I'll call the meeting to order.
Hi, Justine.
Hi.
And I'll request a volunteer to read our mission and vision. Anybody inspired to do so?
I'm inspired.
All right, thank you, Dr. Smith.
The ALCS mission at Aldo Leopold Charter School, the human and natural environment serve as text and lab for learning through direct experience, inquiry, and stewardship. The ALCS vision. Aldo Leopold Charter School graduates will use the skills, perspectives, and information they gain at school to enhance their own lives and to advance social, economic, and environmental sustainability.
Thank you. Extremely clear. And as happened frequently, I forgot the roll call for people who might be watching that we don't know about. How about we just go around clockwise, starting with Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Just report if you're here.
Jim McIntosh here.
Harry Brown here.
Warren DiOrio here. Maya Cheney here.
Oh, yeah, I intended this only, I'm make sure I made that clear. I will, you know what, I'll go ahead and announce non-members also.
Alexandra Tager here.
And no one online. So absent is Sebastiano Marino. And also in attendance, go ahead, Maya, go ahead. Teacher.
Yeah, tell us.
He's not experiential ed.
Oh,
Coordinator.
Anthony Smith, strategic planning consultant.
Lisa Edwards, potential board member.
Jackie Riley, office manager.
Hannah Wax, director.
Thank you all. Agenda review is our next item. Has everyone got an agenda who wants an agenda? Okay. Governing council members, are there any changes anybody would like to request be made?
I had a question, Harry, on Justine's report. It also said including audit presentation. Justine, were you aware of that?
I mentioned about adding it to the agenda for this month. I mean, that's fine. I was just gonna go over the audit findings.
Yeah, I think I put it on there based on her
Her
mentioning it. Yeah,
I didn't hear that somehow. I just wanted to double check that she was.
perfect, no, it's.
Thank you, Hannah.
Sure.
Anything else? Seeing no other changes, any motion to accept the agenda, please?
Just a question.
Yeah.
Under old business says bylaws amendment, under new business says bylaws amendment to cover how to proceed in the event of mass vacancies of the police. Are those different?
A typo on my part, my fault. Previous meeting, that was new business. I think that's
Okay.
old business now. There's no other bylaws amendment besides that one.
Okay.
And there will be an action item on it. So we'll scratch that from the new business section. Because we talked about that last meeting. Thanks, Alex.
I move that we accept the agenda as amended.
Thanks. Moved by Jim, seconded by Alex. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's unanimously accepted. Review and approval of the meeting minutes from February 13. For purposes of discussion, can I have well, I will move approval of the meeting minutes.
I have one question about the meeting.
If you second the motion, then we can discuss it.
Oh,
Is that all right?
sure, second motion.
Okay, discussion.
And I might be wrong on this, but it says here, in addition, the school currently funds 3 non-recurring contracts for an off-site business manager and an off-site special education director, as well as for a special education diagnostician who updated number. Right. Is it not the special education diagnostician who's off-site?
All three
No.
are offsite.
All 3 are off-site.
And she's not really offsite.
Well, I wouldn't even call her off-site. She comes here to do her
Yeah, she
diag
does.
work.
Okay.
Yeah, but She does do a lot of Zoom meetings because we do our IEPs via Zoom.
He is not the director. The director is Michelle Wilcox.
So that's one of the
Who's
same
offsite.
person.
No, the
diagnostician
diag is
is
Cy
the
Hempel.
side. All right.
I have a question, or actually a comment. Under the section on committee reports, which I reviewed this afternoon on the stream, the archived stream. We appointed Alex Tager to the finance committee.
So are we sure of that?
Yes, and I've confirmed with her that
I showed
When
up-
she attended.
that was her intention.
Okay,
I agree,
it
it could have been clearer, and
it
I
could have
don't need to
been-
be blaming you.
oh, no, that's okay, but it felt like the governing council was nominating her in her absence because she was gone from the
But then
meeting.
she arrived, and we
But-
told her.
Okay,
Well,
I didn't hear the
Jackie-
consent.
Thanks to Jackie reminded me that, told me that had happened in my absence.
There we go.
Yeah. good
So
idea.
if we can include it in the
Oh,
minutes,
okay.
even though it was sloppy, would that give
Okay.
you heartburn?
No, I will amend the minutes.
I also searched to see if we had appointed a vice chair, and in fact, we hadn't. So that's something we should continue to discuss. I have no other change to the minutes. Does anybody else? Yep. I see no others. We have a motion in a
I'll
second.
make a motion.
No,
to-
it's already been done.
Okay.
All those in favor can say aye.
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 I hear choking from Doria.
Hold me later.
All right, that's unanimously approved with the change. Public comment. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions. We want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who'd like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on a future agenda. Would anybody like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Justine, it's your turn, business manager report. And since we did have a finance committee meeting, you can abbreviate greatly.
Okay, sounds good. All right, good evening, everyone. Yes, we did have our monthly finance committee meeting. We went over the reports in depth. One good news that I wanted to report is the school will be receiving a budget increase in their operational fund. And that is due to the 40-day count. We haven't received an official memo from PED yet, but I compared the January SEG, which is called the State Equalization Guarantee, that we get from the PED around the 10th of each month. So that did increase from January to February in the amount of $29,000. So if we spread that kind of over, not spread it, but if the increase is 29,000 from February to June, we're estimating about a $149,000 budget increase to the operational fund. So that's going to help the school out a lot. I know the budget is still tight. The carryover probably going into next year is going to be very small compared to prior years, but as long as the school ends in a positive, I think that is all that matters. So that's one good news that I wanted to report. Other than that, all RFRs that have been submitted to PED have been reimbursed to the school. So I do those RFRs on a monthly basis. I'll be doing the next round of RFRs on Monday. But for now, we've received all of our revenues that we've expected up to date. And that's really all that I wanted to report as far as finances.
I have a question for you, Justine. Can
Yeah.
you clarify about that, the money that you just talked about, the 149,000, that is not actually what we will end up having available to spend, since some of it is already spent?
Correct. So looking at these reports, you can see on page 2 that the operational fund is in a deficit of 70,000. So that 149 will cover part of that. So really once we budget that money, the school will have about 79,000 to spend between now and June 30. So we're still on a tight budget. I mean, I would still, cut down on that spending to make sure that we have some carryover going into next year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I have a question, Justine and Harry, because we looked at the purchase order report. Justine, you looked at the one Harry ran, that had 13,000 more or less, and there was 40,000 that is gone last month. And so you had said the spending is in POs, and I wondered if you had had time to look into that discrepancy or if you had any ideas on that.
I haven't looked into it. The only other idea I thought of is we may have increased some current POs. And when we do a change order, so if there's an open PO that we need to increase for whatever reason, we put the issue date back to the original PO date. So if it was issued in July, we'll issue that change back to July. So that could be another
Well,
reason.
I'll just write you, but let's meet about it maybe next week. It is our spring break, but I'll be around Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and maybe we can dig into it some more.
Yeah, I may be able to run a different report now that I'm thinking, maybe like a kind of a transaction detail. So I'll see if I could find another report like that.
Thank you.
Jim?
Yes, Justine or anybody, point of information, were we able to recover any of the money from lunch reimbursement? Or is that still?
I'll let Jackie
That's a
speak to
Jackie
that.
question. Oh, that's a Jackie.
Gotcha. Let me see if I have my notes from yesterday. So there was 4 months that were not, I guess they were not received at the state level. So because of the rules that they have over there, they can only do 1 month of a reimbursement backtracking. So we had the 4 months. I picked the one that was the biggest. So we are gonna get that one back. So we're gonna,
August.
which was August, yes.
So September, October, November, we have lost out on, and we found out yesterday that it's not just the federal money. There's state money too, to try to supplement, because the feds don't give enough to cover lunches. It looks like we're gonna miss out on that as well, but we don't know for sure.
I
yet.
know for sure.
We're gonna try, because their rules may not be as stringent.
And I did email her, but she hasn't written back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Justine, can we point out that I also found us $13,000 yesterday?
Is that in your
Yes, yes, that too.
So that one line item that I asked, what is this indirect grant for 13,000 where nothing had been budgeted? It was totally unused money just sitting there, and so we will be able to use it.
From what?
Apparently a Freeport grant from 2016.
And then another grant that was like in maybe that one was 2016. So there's like 2 of them, and this money's been carrying over year after year and not being spent, probably since 2016. So yeah, it's time to use that up and get rid of that.
Yeah, the Freeport grants were generally 5,000 max, so it's unlikely that all of that was.
It was
Wonderful.
5,000, and then there was another one from I'll have to look at the email from some foundation,
Yeah,
a donation.
Waldenheim, something like that.
Thank you.
And the last question, have we decided how we're gonna spend the money that Representative Terrazas contacted us about?
Yes, well, maybe. Jackie, do you want to speak about that? So we have, for those of you who weren't here or weren't part of this discussion, there is some capital outlay money that I didn't realize was expiring. And with capital outlay, you have to spend it or lose it. And it was expiring in June of this year, but Representative Terrazas contacted me to say, hey, do you want to extend this? And I said, yes. And so we have past June to spend it, but we may be able to spend it beforehand. It is $40,000. It is only earmarked for vehicles. And what Jackie and I have been talking about is like, when you go pick up a kid or extract someone from backpacking, driving a Suburban is really expensive and is a big gas guzzler. And hard to drive, right, on those twisty roads. And so to have a small, compact, like electric vehicle or hybrid vehicle with good gas mileage that we could use also to go to trainings and things like that. And Jackie found one.
So I found one. I found a Ford Maverick. And it's super, super economical. It's a hybrid.
41 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, and sometimes it could get even more once we start using it more, learn how to
And they're
drive
like
it.
little pickups, but they seat 5.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Quite the team,
I know.
It's like a short thing.
right?
I know, yeah. But, so we're looking at that and I mean, we have other options, but that is like on, we figure like if somebody needs to transport something, we're always needing to transport something. And usually the Suburbans are not big enough. This would be,
Or two.
I mean, yeah, they're too big. Or not big enough because they don't fit on top, but this would have the bed of the truck.
So, but Justine, why don't we let you finish and we can talk about.
Okay. Well, as far as finances, that's all I had. I don't know if anyone else had any questions about the finances.
Doesn't look like it, Justine.
Okay, then I can go over the bars.
Just the one I hope.
Just one, yes, sorry, bar. Bar number 28, it's an increase bar. And this is in the amount of $10,000 for the, we got a special grant from the PEC. And so we'll be using this for the special ed coordinator position.
Yeah. It was 10,000 of her salary because she's contracted.
Thank you for figuring that out.
Yeah.
Any questions on the bar? Okay. You want to tell us about the audit?
Sure. I probably should have sent, and I'll send these out to you all after the meeting. So it's the findings. I'll just go over the findings. There were 6 of the findings. I'll go over each one kind of in brief, but so the first one, there were some budgetary compliance. So there were about 6 funds or 5 funds that the budget was overspent at the function level. So, a fund has several functions, and within that function, those should be positive or at 0, and those functions were overspent. So that is the first finding. And the way that I'm going to fix that finding is doing budget adjustments on a quarterly basis at the very least. So I've kind of been watching the budget, and if I see anything, I will do a bar to get that fixed.
Justine, I'm gonna interrupt for one sec, just to give the GC a little bit of background on the audit report. Understand that this is for the prior fiscal year. So none of this was under Justine, this was all under Melissa. 6 findings is a lot, but as we can all see, there's a lot going on. So I hope to fix a lot of them. Go ahead, Justine. I just wanted to
Thank you.
make sure they all understand.
Yes, I should have mentioned that. I'm sorry. Yes, this is for the prior fiscal year. The second finding is related to financial close and reporting. Let's see. Oh, so some revenues were recorded incorrectly. So the auditors needed to kind of make an adjustment on their end for the financial statements to record those revenues correctly. So for an example, there was like 7,000 in revenues recorded in the USDA grant that needed to be reclassified to the operational grant. And then 19,000 revenues were recorded in the food services grant that needed to be reclassified to the universal free meals. So that happened 3 times. So that was an audit finding for not recording revenues in the correct one. And the way that we would fix this is it's hard when there's a business manager, she kind of does everything. There's not really, I don't know what the process was, how she, did her deposits in the financial system, but the way that we do them is I'll enter the revenues into the financial system, and then I'll have another level 2 business manager in our office review my work, and they actually approve that. So there's that check and balance there.
And we lacked that before.
We have lacked that every year except this current year.
We
But
don't-
it wasn't a finding before.
The next finding, so there was some travel reimbursements. As stated, 3 travel reimbursements that they tested had the max daily amount for actuals related to food. So when someone goes on travel, they're only allowed $59 allowance per 24 hours. So let's see. The 59 was paid as per diem type rate rather than reimbursing the actual amount. So usually when someone goes on travel, you eat out, you bring the actual itemized receipt back and we reimburse the actual amount that they spent versus just paying that employee the $59. So if they ate out for $12 and it seemed like the school paid them $59, so they overpaid them. Same thing with mileage reimbursement. It says that they noted the mileage reimbursement rate was 46 cents a mile rather than the applicable state rate at the time. So usually schools follow the DFA rate, which is right now currently 100% of the prior year IRS rate. And I think they were underpaying them at the 46 cents, unless you have a policy that says where the school's only paying 46 cents. So it's either you have a policy that specifically states that amount or go with kind of the DFA route. And then another one that a reimbursement packet wasn't reviewed correctly. I'm not sure how they found that, but all of that's just in one finding. So I'm just giving you the examples of what they had found in that one finding. The next finding, so number 4 is there was 1 out of 7 employees that they tested that they could not find the ERB form for. Another one that they couldn't find NIMSIA form. So those, new hire forms that every employee should have in their employee folder. They need all of these forms. So maybe Jackie and Hannah can maybe give you a list if you don't already have one, a checklist of what should be in the employee file. And maybe you guys can kind of do an audit to make sure that all your employee files are up to date.
That would be great if you'd send us a list. Thank you.
And Justine, I don't know if your corrective action plan, maybe it's already final, but we've addressed the onboarding question in our strategic plan. And so that could be added if it's not final already.
Okay.
That we have a commitment to.
Yeah,
improving
there's a new employee checklist with, oh, you've met with Dre and filled in these forms, and yeah, so that hopefully that will streamline that process.
Okay, let's see. So the 5th finding, so it was over journal entries. They noted on 4 of the 5 journal entries tested, the preparer also posted the entry. So when you do a journal entry, it's like an entry into the financial system. Again, the way we do it now is I enter it, someone else posts it. So they kind of check my work. And so here she was both entering it and posting it. And so it's kind of hard if you make a mistake, no one's there to catch that.
Same question, same.
Or
answer.
at least, I mean, and I guess I should ask, I know a few business managers at schools, how they do it. If they're the only one there, maybe the business manager enters and the director approves, or the director signs off. So we might need to, if that's the route in the future, yeah, we'll have to kind of come up with something.
And we were signing them, but Melissa didn't always bring them to me, and some documents it seems were lost because CLA asked us for, we need these months, and we couldn't find them anywhere, so I don't know.
Yeah. Number 6, test work over procurement. So the school procured food services totaling 86,000 that did not appear to be subject to any competitive procurement. So if you're going to spend over 60,000 on a vendor, you need to either go to RFP or use a vendor that's under CES or ACES. And so I don't know if that just didn't happen. And I know that, sole source. I think the way we fix this is, there's not many food services vendors out there. So I think Jackie went ahead and fixed this and did a sole source with the purchasing department.
Yes, that's what we did.
So I'm sorry.
That is it.
So, we were getting all of our,
I know, so what did you ask?
so we have to fix it. We either have to go out with the RF.
Just explain what a sole source is.
Sole source means that they're the only ones in the area that can provide this
Filed that with who?
with the state.
Okay,
The
they
DFA.
accepted that.
Yeah, well, we have to put it out. They have to be there for like 30 days. And if nobody could test it, then we can go ahead and proceed.
Okay, thank you.
There's a whole procurement webpage at the state. and that's where you post it, so it's just a web page post.
So you just post it and nobody responds and then you're. Like,
Yes.
Secretary's point of personal privilege, am I able to get a list of those audit findings?
Justine said she was gonna send them.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I will send these out.
Thank
Do
you.
you have them separate from the 2,000-page document?
Yes, I do.
So
You think I
crazy.
jest?
No, it's,
2,000 is probably more than that.
and you have to dig through to find yours.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Mhm. I can send both the financial statements and the findings as well.
Awesome, Justine.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
That is it as far as the findings. If anyone else has any questions on those.
I see none. You have anything else for us?
I don't.
Have fun at your next meeting.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
And I'm going to take advantage, being chair, to just make one clarification. Hannah referred to a $40,000, I think you might even called it missing money, something like that.
Oh, yeah,
What happened was, over our last 3 months of briefings with Justine, the balance that she expected us to have at the end of the year went from 30,000 positive to 30,000 negative to 70,000 negative, as you just saw in this report or heard. And so I asked what was accounting for those changes. And she said, probably purchase orders. So then I went and looked at all the purchase orders in February, because those are what would have accounted for the difference. And they totaled 13,000. So it didn't explain a $40,000 change. That's what Hannah was asking for information about. Hopefully Justine can track it down, because
Yeah.
I'm curious.
I'm curious. No, and it keeps getting worse, and
Yes.
we have cut off all spending other than trips or emergencies.
Right.
And so I don't understand that, and that's, well, I'll meet with her next week and we'll keep digging.
Yes, sorry, anything else on business manager report, even though she's gone?
Student council, president is in Mexico, and Iris has a track meet, I believe. So
Cool, Mexico trip's going okay, it sounds like?
it's going great. I've gotten all week long, which has been a pretty busy, crazy week. I just keep getting pictures of the kids like on the beach, and Maya gets them
Stunning.
tide pooling. I'm like, oh, they're having so much fun. It looks really wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Staff report, there are a couple of staff members present. Maya's the official.
So, I'm gonna talk about the experiences that staff and students are having outside of the classroom, even though I'm sure they've been doing things in their classrooms too. But I get to really see what's happening outside of them. So I'm gonna talk about the middle school first. They have their Friday program, experiential ed program, they're out in the community on Fridays, and they have really been focusing a lot on community. They've done some service learning at the Heart. And they visited the landfill and they recycled each other. The river, the Humane Society, horse farm that belongs to one of the leaders, and also the fire department. And they've also been doing a lot of prep for City of Rocks. So the first City of Rocks trip was.
It was just last week.
So that's an overnight camping trip for the schools and half of those were the time, so about 40 of them. And the 8th graders who went on that trip, some of them planned place-based locations for the other students and met them. And then they prepared a lot of meals together. They went on a sunrise hike, and it's always a really exciting trip because it's the first time camping for all the kids, and they're out there, running some camp, something like that. So the second trip is planned for March 25th.
Maya, do the halves include all grade levels in each half?
The groups are very carefully chosen to maximize, operation of units among students, right?
Very diplomatic. My.
Yeah. So coming up for the middle school is that second, the Rock trip, the poetry class that Julia Stevenson has for her elected is going to perform at the Twinkle Buds. I think that's gonna happen in April. So I'm making that. Kids are gonna go fishing on Bill Evans, we're gonna do some fire safety stuff, that'll be cool. And, do some stream health, stuff at the river with River Source and then. And then, we also have the eighth grade staff. Okay, oh, also, the third bus was out today and just went to the light art space,
There are two really great exhibits at LA Art Space right now. One of them is by Carlos Bernal, and the other one is by Alvaro and Ciso. And the photography is a retrospective of this man's work, and it's all, most of his photographs were taken in the barrio in Tucson, and so it's all about culture. And he is the father, considered the father of photography, he started the photography department at the college. And he was the first one who really doing that. He started in 1970. Right now, and so, but it's really beautiful. Really capture a place and people, and kids were quite moved by it. They're nice, a little tiny booklet that accompanies that. So I brought that to the classroom ahead of time, and we did a bunch of work and talked about that. And the other man, Mr. Enciso, his inspiration, motivation is the migrant issue. And he's from Colombia, and he's 20 and was almost nearly drafted in Vietnam at that time. I mean, he was drafted, it was almost shortly after he arrived, he was drafted in Vietnam for 2 months, and then went to college on the GI Bill, and then worked in Washington for 20 years, and then moved to the Southwest, where he became aware of people crossing the border, because he flew into JFK with all of his papers in order. And he did not realize that was what was happening at the southern border. And so his work is really focused. He goes out every Tuesday into the Sonoran Desert with a group of people and he place crosses in places where they can locate for remains have been found. And they place 1,700 crosses, and there's 4,300 total, indicators of remains. So that's to law enforcement and triangulation and stuff like that. So it's quite a thing, and we watched a video about him, and the kids were pretty moved by that, and we tied that into some other stuff we're doing in the books that we're doing arts and we're doing social studies, and then they went down there, and they are just awesome at Light Art Space. The people there are so welcoming to our students, and our students really, really very well there, and quite engaged. It's fun to walk down there, especially the day before spring break. There was kids, there's a place you can leave comments, and I noticed yesterday one girl left a comment that this made her feel really proud of her heritage. She hadn't experienced so much before, and so that was amazing. So kids were noticing things about other cultures, and then they're going to do a whole thing about them.
Jennifer, what was the last name of the second artist who was involved with the cross?
CIS,
Okay, thank you.
and CIS.
Thanks.
So pretty cool. Sophomores went on the concept of technology today. And this is our vodka and the bell. So they met with this organization called People Helping People, working with migrants. And then they also visited older people. And then they drove up to Phoenix. They went to the musical institution and also the family park. There were no injuries. And For the most part.
For the most.
And the seniors, of course, are in the right now on their international marine biology trip. Fancy. So they've been sending all these amazing pictures of them shopping at the fish market and all this beautiful fruit. at the
Kayaking in
market,
the estuary.
hiking and Nakapui Canyon.
Mm.
And then. all the-
Dawn hike today on the beach.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
That's money. And the high school coming up when we get back from spring break, the cultural geography and science class is gonna go on. And then the juniors are gonna go on their trip, they have a science trip. Fun. And then we have our environment. And high school art class is gonna go to the Tucson, U of A Art Museum. And like to wrap up the year, then trips, the freshmen are gonna have their outfit. Like Alda's version of winter, which is, really learning about skills and camping and food and stuff.
Eating goats.
Maya, who's taking
I
the,
don't want
oh, sorry. Sorry. Who's coaching the Envirothon team? Who's taking them up to the competition? Oh, good. Cool, thanks.
Are you staff members though?
No, just Mike and Carolyn.
yeah, they have 4 students.
Oh,
And it was only them that took them last year too. Oh, no,
We've had
did
more
Molly go with them? Molly helped coach. I'm sorry, what's that?
that's not- that
Thank you,
makes-
Maya.
Any other questions for Maya? We have strategic plan goal manager reports on here. Are there some reports to? give us?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll pull
okay.
it up.
I didn't ask you this time for what they.
Right. All right, so it is brief. We have been talking about the strategic plan for a while now. So we have our task to review 612 recruitment procedures and recommend adjustments, if any. We are good. We are, as Anthony said, bye, Maya, bye, Jennifer. Thank you for coming. Holding steady, with our retention, more or less, and recruitment is good. We will have, and I'll talk about this in a minute, another lottery tomorrow. And so we'll look at where our enrollment is, but we're filling up quick. We continue to get applications. I wouldn't recruit more because we just don't have room for kids. And I think that a lot of things like the orientation that I implemented and things like that have been really good for retention. And Maya is continuing to work on more supports for families to understand like what the commitment looks like, what EE really looks like, what the expectations are. Yes, Jim.
It occurred to me with one of the questions on, and I think I'm not out of order in the meeting, but one of the questions that Dr. Smith posed to us about making sure we met budget with funding. Could it be part of that meeting with parents and that contract that a parent, and I'm just throwing something out there, that a parent estimates the percentage at the beginning of the school year, the percentage that they feel they can pay for trips, and then have some kind of gentle holding somebody to that, anywhere from paying full freight to, we're just getting by, we're practically homeless, we can't afford any of it. We've always had the policy that nobody is going to be kept back from a trip
Sure.
because of money, but I don't have the inside track on how things are paid, but when I was handling it in the old days, I would handle a lot of the trip money, and it seems like folks might be able to give a little bit more if they understood the nature of the crisis. I don't know. It's just a thought.
That's a good question. We can sure ask Maya about that. I think that she really has implemented a lot of systems so that we really know what we're spending.
Mhm.
I know that she's still getting information about how much we're getting back. I don't think we really know because we have so many big trips right now.
Yeah.
But I think it's a continued important discussion.
I was actually gonna ask her that too, because I got spreadsheet about trip costs, and I was wondering what percentage gets actually paid by. this, Because as a parent, I've never been asked, other than in a parent square message,
Hey, it's here. Yeah.
this is what you need to pay.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had a
Wow.
follow-up.
Oh
So
my
I was
God,
gonna
we
ask-
always used to send a form home every single trip with
Sign.
an opportunity to pay, bare
Yeah.
bones.
Okay, but not
But
only
that's,
that,
that's,
beyond
and
that,
now we do
what-
it on
what we-
Parent Square. It's the same form.
No,
It's
but-
the
Oh, because
same
every-
thing.
What I'm saying is, if, which is likely, you just don't see it, you're busy, you forget, nobody follows up with it,
We do
So-
not,
which is a huge amount of money that was leaving on the table.
Yeah.
So I had a suggestion for the Resource Development Committee, which was to have, could be a volunteer task.
yeah, just
Is
to
have
call people like,
parents
hey,
call
did you
and
know
say,
you never paid
Just
for this
reminding
trip?
you.
Yeah.
It's a great.
So
I think it
that's-
is too.
We need a tough person to do that.
Yes.
It's a rough
Well,
one.
I mean, the script itself will be
Yeah, yeah.
we'll give them the script, so they don't have to. Because we're not asking them to be a collection agency.
Right?
We're asking them to remind parents that they haven't paid, because I would have been like, oh, I will pay you right now.
And it was remarkable how much
Right.
parents responded.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
And then the next task is provide an update of progress towards securing the next ALCS school facility, and I have that in my director's report, so I'll address it then. Any questions?
There's that language-
What's that?
There's that where that language came from.
Ah, yes. All right, it's my director's report now, right?
Thanks, Amy.
So I'm just gonna move ahead.
That's good.
First, I want to take a moment. So it was exactly 5 years ago. I was on the governing council, probably Harry was in the room when the PED secretary said, we're closing
Oh, yeah.
down. Yeah. And I hadn't heard it yet, and we heard it directly
March
from
Friday.
them. It was March
Oh,
12th,
Absolutely.
5 years ago, but it is
Right.
this Thursday,
Yeah.
and I can't believe it's been 5 years, and I think about staff members like Dre who have lost people to COVID. I think about all the things that have changed and the ways that our kids are forever changed by it, and our society too. So I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that. The great news about the facilities master plan meeting and visit is that it's all set. And Jim, if you want to join us, you can. Paul will be here on March 25th. I have coordinated with Silver, they will get us into JB at 1:30. He and Chris will be going around the whole building. They'll be looking at things, one of their things is this building sustainable? Is there some way we could stay here, update it, make an agreement with the university? They will look into that. And then they will look at JB. They want to drive out to Fort Baird and take a look at that too. And so it is very much just a fact gathering visit. But I know Jim has been itching to get into JB, so I thought I'd invite you on that part.
And just me and not the rest of the committee to keep it simple.
I'm gonna do that for now
Okay.
because
Okay.
I didn't ask them, because there's so much coordinating,
Totally
because
understand.
Antonio, who's letting us in, is coming to meet us on his spring break. If we have a whole gaggle of people, it just seems like too much at that point. But one person we can sneak in.
Thank you.
Any questions on where we are with that?
I just want to add, I was really stoked after that meeting.
Me too.
And I'm gonna add that mainly because, Paul Aguilar, who heads this organization, he used to be deputy secretary for finance. at the, And I really enjoyed him in that position. I thought it was great. And so as soon as he heard that we were in dire financial condition, he wanted to explore that. And this is completely off his contract. He's that kind of guy.
It was a problem for him to solve, and he's smart and he knows everyone. He's like, well, that shouldn't be. And he's asking me smart questions. Has your enrollment gone down? Has this happened? Why is this? Well, let me look into it. Let me call Sarah, who's the deputy secretary of finance, Sarah Cordova. And he's like, I'm gonna call Sarah, I'm gonna ask her about this, and I loved that he did that too. I was totally happy after the meeting, I just felt like I was in such good hands. Also, their professionalism and knowledge was incredibly impressive. So it's just a really positive meeting, and they're on it, they're gonna be here, you know, in 2 weeks. We're getting into JB, I just feel motion in a place where I've felt so stagnant for so long, so I felt really good about that.
So I would anticipate that he might actually have some advice for us.
Yeah.
That's,
What's his name?
include. He goes by Paul, his formal name is Hipólito.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Smith.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hipólito Aguilar. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ann.
Yeah. Along with the facilities master plan, I have been invited to Silver's. You know, they have hired some people to look at, to do a feasibility study. And so this is my schedule for working with Silver on their facilities plan and their consolidation plan. So we'll be meeting in April twice, in May twice, and then by June, Mr. Hawkins wants to have ready to have a presentation of recommendations to his school board for approval. Again, things are finally moving. And so I will be at all of those meetings. I know earlier Alex McKenzie had joined those to try and help sort of lift things off my plate. If somebody wants to join as well as a GC, I'd be happy to invite you, but don't feel obligated. I'm going to all of them. This is not, yeah. Pat's here, I'll figure it out. Jackie will be director and drive the bus.
Yes.
She's driving the bus for
Well, they
Okay.
replaced me.
mine.
Yeah, they kicked me out.
Oh, they
after-
did?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
Wayne's gonna do it.
Oh,
But I was
Sorry.
so
I'm glad
excited.
you're a bus driver.
why do you don't have to let Wayne.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yes, Jackie has a CDL. All right. Also, what else is going on? The director search. So the search committee met this week. They have been sent resumes, and we had 5 on that day, but haven't we gotten, did we get one more?
We
that you
got one
sent
more.
out?
Yes, we
Yeah.
got one more.
And did you send it to him?
Yes,
yet?
yes.
Okay. So I was there for this meeting. I'm gonna be there sometimes in an advisory capacity, but I think they're meeting on the 28th of March. And I don't know if I should be there. I'm not sure. Maybe I should ask them. I don't want to influence them, but I want to be available.
Right.
So,
And we did try to get her to participate and she would not give us.
and it was
Sure.
really interesting. So Jackie started the meeting out asking everyone what their ideal director looked like, what were the most important like qualities, which I thought was really good because I've been on the director search in the past and I could see that we all wanted something different, but we had never really expressed it. And so hearing everyone's like big wants was interesting because, you know, some people are like, I want experience. Jim is like, I want a visionary. No, you had really good things. I'm not, but I think that I think visionary is really important in a director, but there's so much nitty gritty, even if they won't have a whole lot of time for it. The other people want, I want them to have experience in SPED. I want them to be really committed to social emotional learning and restorative practices. And so there are so many desires out there. So it'll be really interesting, but I think it's great that they all know where each other are coming from and see the value in that. So that was a good way to start it. Yeah. And they set a timeline. All of our goal is to have someone hired by the end of April.
Yes.
This is on the agenda for old business, but you might as well
I'm
stay
sorry.
with you, take care of it now if there's any questions or anything.
Oh, just,
Yeah.
and you said there's more than 5 candidates?
There's actually 6.
Are you gonna interview them all or?
That's up to the committee.
Yeah, that's up to the committee. I actually sent them the packet. They're just so they have a chance to look at it over during spring break. On the 28th, we're gonna meet and decide, yeah. See what we think.
We set a date, I think it was tentative for in-person interviews on roughly speaking, April 16th.
Yes.
So it's happening pretty fast,
Yes.
like decision. And you know, who we're gonna call them in the middle of the month and make a decision by the end of the month. It's very ambitious.
make a decision on what?
on the hire.
A recommendation
That's
to
true.
the board.
Right.
Thank you.
A recommendation to the
No,
board of
search
who they
committee.
would like to hire
No. Sorry, we're talking in short.
and why. And the committee should think about that we'll need to coordinate it with a board meeting and who from the committee wants to speak to the board about the recommendation. And obviously, you're already here, Jim, but maybe one other person wants to
Yeah.
join too or something like that.
Well, we have committee memberships follow up very soon, so we
Ah,
can
there we
find
go.
out.
All right.
In the meantime, does the committee need a budget?
Guess it depends who they pick.
Yes.
Keep that in mind.
That's, thank you for, I think
Dave?
that's important, Harry. We had talked about, starting with sort of maybe preliminary Zoom interviews, but then if we want to bring people here, yeah, we would, I think,
It's a good idea.
yeah, maybe the foundation would like to pay for that.
Well,
I know,
That was my
think so.
suggestion.
Yeah.
Ask the foundation. Go ask.
Yeah.
that would probably just barely.
Oh, I'm sorry, anything else on the director search, questions, comments? We are closing the application entirely next week. If I felt like we should leave it open through break because just personally, as a really busy director, I wouldn't have time to be looking for a job till next week. I think a lot of people who are already in that position may not be looking yet and take that spring break time to say, hey, maybe I want something else or whatever it is. So we're leaving it open through next week. Other questions or comments on director?
I know when we were interviewing candidates for the Director of Experiential Education a few years ago, we saved some funds and actually made it a more intimate experience by, like, I know one of the candidates stayed at our home.
Right.
I know we should think about it. I'm not saying, people may not want to take that on, but it
Yeah,
was actually fun.
sure. That's a good point. That's interesting. I guess it really kind of depends.
Yeah.
If they're coming from far away, who they are, who's available, all of those things. But I think it is nice and it makes them feel welcome and personal,
Some of the people speak. with-
This is
Yeah.
true. Justin says the good news is
Oh, wait, how did we
everyone's
transmit?
getting fired, right? Half the Forest Service is moving. And so the market is suddenly opening up like he hasn't seen in 10 years. Wow. Of course, he's also having just houses not close. He had one woman who worked for USDA, I believe, really nice house in Dos Riegos. The whole thing fell apart because she lost her job. So it's super tragic. It is not good. That's being facetious.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything more for director's report?
Yes. All right, so director search, we're moving on to the 10th grade. Maya talked about all the trips, but I will show you two quick pictures. Here are middle schoolers at City of Rocks. And here is a beach photo from a couple days ago. Looks like they had gorgeous weather in San Carlos. Is that where they were?
I think so. It looks like near Delphi.
So local and national education updates. This will be fun. Locally, there are interesting things still happening. The legislative session ends at the end of next week. One bill that has passed is the retirement bill, and this affects one of the candidates. And I think it's fine to say that Pat, because you all know that he's one of the candidates, he had retired and come back, and the state regulations said you could only come back for 3 years. They have unanimously passed the 5-year. And so that changes. And for anyone, I think that that's good news in education, because there's a lot of people who have retired who may want to come back for 5 years.
So that was an ERB decision?
No,
Legislature?
no, it's, I can tell you its number. So it's SB 133. Educational retirees returning to work is moving from 3 to 5 years.
That's what I was, okay. I got confused when you said unanimous. It hasn't actually been signed, right?
No, nothing's been
Right.
signed. Right.
So-
It just
so-
went through and no, there was no
objection.
opposition, no
Okay.
objections.
All right.
So it should be passed
So is this year is Mr. Avalos' first of
first.
potentially 5 years?
Yes, now instead of
Right.
just two more,
Okay.
right? And the, who knows what will happen with other House bills, we'll see, but things continue to be fluid. At the national level, right, it's pretty stunning. And I just wasn't sure if many of you had read the Dear Colleague letter that I received on February 14th. And so I have a copy here for you, but it outlines that no school can involve itself in any diversity work, any social emotional learning. I've seen nationwide where teachers are having to take down posters that say things like everyone's welcome here. And the weird piece of this, I can just show it to you, is they have also created a portal where parents, students, community members can report wokeness, right? And then it is tied, here's the Dear Colleague letter for anyone. Anyone want to read this?
Yeah, I would love to see that.
Okay, we'll start with Jim if you'll pass it around. And I can forward it to everyone too, if you don't get time, I'll write myself. That it is tied to funding. And so the threat is, Dear Colleague letters aren't law, they are guidance. But the threat is, if you are reported in this portal, you will lose federal funding. And if we look at what's happening to colleges and universities, my guess is that federal funding for schools, all schools, it doesn't bode well. It doesn't feel good. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that everyone should be aware of it because it affects everything, and certainly everything I do, including our daughters who are going to college next year who would want to apply for financial aid. Will it exist? I do not know.
You have did they send you an electronic copy of this?
Yeah.
If you think of it, I'm
Yeah,
sorry
I'll
about
forward
that.
it to everyone. Yeah.
Quite the document.
Yeah, I would
read it.
prefer to read it.
Yeah, I'll just send it to everyone. Would you like the portal so you can report some people?
And DW, and
No, I want to
yeah.
spam them.
Yes, right.
But anyway,
Yeah, we're live
Charlotte
streaming.
Liberty University.
is it, so that's my question. Is this legally binding?
That's America's question.
That's America's question.
Well,
Sure,
right,
I don't.
I mean, it's Merrick's question, but it's also our question to answer.
So, okay, so I am not following the guidance laid out in the Dear Colleague letter. Personally, professionally, not at the school, I have not instructed teachers to do that. In any way, I have spoken with people at the state level, and we all agree we're gonna follow state guidance. And even within our state, right, we are required to have equity councils, for example, all schools. And so every school in New Mexico would immediately be flagged because we have equity councils, but maybe that's the goal.
So
I am gonna continue with state guidance.
I note that on here it says, we invite you to report illegal discriminatory practices. There's a huge gap between what they're saying about DEI and what they put in print, right? Because that, to be illegal, none of them, like, for example, equity councils, clearly not illegal. Right?
I
Obviously
agree
not illegal.
100%, but again, that becomes a question
Yeah.
for a lawyer, not us.
That's right.
What will happen with it, I don't know. I just wanted people to be aware of its existence.
Yeah.
And to know that that is the atmosphere, under which teachers in a lot of places are working.
Please describe in as much detail about the discriminatory practice taking place.
And the Dear Colleague letter lays out things like teaching about institutional racism would be a discriminatory practice.
One of our local representatives went down publicly against so-called critical race theory, which is poorly understood, and
Right.
it's a graduate level college issue in most cases.
Sure.
But that's probably good for people to know because you might want to get nosy about what's going on in our classrooms.
Sure.
Somebody you know went down?
Representative Terras,
Gracias.
he made this public.
Yeah, and I wrote to him about it. I don't think it changes mine.
None of it's gonna change anything. I think it's really good to be aware of. Yeah, that's all I know. I just wanted to mention it.
I mean, is there something that the governing council needs to
No,
say about how,
oh,
Do you want our backing for your ignoring the letter?
yeah, I mean.
sure. Do you back me?
Without an action item.
We can have it.
Formally back you.
Yeah.
You could formally back me. We could talk about that.
I mean, I
It's
think
not
that's
something that needs to happen today, but I just wanted people to know. I think that, yeah, there's so much going on that lots of things may not come across your plate because there's
Sure.
so many
I
things.
appreciate that. It's terrifying, but I think that as a governing council, maybe should discuss how we want. We need to hang out to dry.
Would you like to discuss that during director input today or put it off? for a minute? I didn't mean director, but I'm a
GC.
GC member. That's what I meant.
I don't mind talking about it, but I really want to read the letter in detail because
Yeah.
I want to get granular on it.
So how about I put it on next month?
And I will, let me write my notes. Send letter. All right. I already told you, we have a lottery tomorrow, and then the last thing, my link here isn't the director report. This is something that's on the agenda. I just have it linked so that I have it later. Okay, all right, so I am done, unless there are questions.
Thanks.
Thanks, thank you.
Question?
I'm done.
The committees. The first item of business is a follow-up on committee memberships. Alex has confirmed that she's a member of the finance committee. And I think we had even last meeting, on risk management, have you thought about a second?
Thought about it.
Any conclusions?
It's still unclear, are there only like 2 members allowed of GC to be on a committee?
Well, with more than 2 members, quorum notice would have to be published.
Okay, so I think it'd be helpful for me to know what. Who's on
Well,
what committee.
so I wanted to pull that up again anyway. Is there any reason I can't discuss the message you showed me?
He did not say that I
Yes,
shared, but.
then I won't.
Do you want me to pull up the
Is the
committee?
If you would.
Yeah.
And every committee.
There's staff and parents and a student member.
So there are some that you post quorum notice.
No,
No, we just.
they have either one, in one case, 0, 1, or 2. We don't have any committees with 3 on them. If we have 5 members on the governing council, our quorum is 3. So, or if we have 6.
So we're trying to avoid.
So we're trying, well, it's easier.
It's just easier.
Frankly, if we had 3 people, it's not a big deal to post a quorum notice. It's really easy. So I wouldn't let that be an obstacle.
That said, we have a lot of committees and not a lot of members.
Bingo.
Right.
You'd have to want to be spreading yourself thin.
How many members do we have on chat right now?
That's school health advisory.
Trying to
We're
get-
looking at the
there we
list
go.
of 4.
Jack.
Look at that, that's helpful.
Yep.
So Tekka, Sebastiano, Garrett, Heidi, me, Frankie hasn't gone, Mark and Samara.
It's a good committee and it's important.
Do you want to join chat? That makes a lot of sense. That seems to align.
Thinking about
for
your resume. fine.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll put you down.
Thanks.
Yeah.
No pressure. It's just a good committee.
DIORO.
BIORIO.
Where are you?
I-O.
I-O.
Oh,
There we go.
got it. Oh. dear. It's like the band and the
Yeah,
bird.
That's what, when I was studying her stuff for, when you were going on your trip, I had to learn, and it was deal real, because I didn't want to spell.
Potential governing council member, do you have any interest in looking carefully at this list?
I would appreciate it. Send it to me.
Well,
I can do that unless you want to. Amy.
would you?
Yeah, of course.
Would be great.
Thanks.
I am tired. I started my day, I had a parent threaten me. We had a police presence all day, like my day, I am just going.
So
So
sorry.
I'm sorry, but yeah, anything, it was a lot. I filed a police report and I will have a restraining.
That's committee.
Okay,
Did I, no, I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were asking, I did not.
search committee was my other question in this area.
Hmm.
Why did I have that written down? I can't remember. You guys need another member. That's who I was. Do you want two governing council members on the search committee?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
And the only reason is because we wanna keep it small enough to where we don't, if it's too big, then it becomes too many opinions. So like we just.
Should I take you
That
out?
makes
Okay,
sense.
it makes sense in one sense. In another sense, many opinions are good.
But you only have.
But
Right, yeah.
I understand how
Right,
that
and
feels
honestly,
also.
being
Yeah.
on finance.
I don't have a big desire to be on, in fact, I have a negative desire to be on it. So it would only be if somebody else really wanted to be on it, and I know you don't. Then, okay, so you're all good. Happy day. I think I announced the April 7 Shack Behavioral Health meeting here in this room, last meeting. I'll repeat it again. I don't know if we know any more about it. And Mark told me
Mark
that it
sent
was
out,
happening.
did he send it to you guys? Okay, let me look for it, cause he sent out maybe more information. But I'll find it and forward it. to
Okay,
you.
in case any governing council member would want to attend that.
Mark,
It was April 7th in this room. Maybe the time's not securely enough in my head for me to tell you. It might have been 4:30, but I'm not
I'm
quite
sure it's April 7th.
No,
Okay.
not even sure of that, Jim.
Okay.
I'll find it and send it to
I-
everyone. I can
Dates,
use.
not my thing.
What?
You guys have a school wellness policy.
We do, yeah, and it's on the website, I believe. But I'd be happy to share it with you.
I think we've covered finance committee. The small finance committee met to hear what Justine already told you all. We went over all the reports. Alex is coming up to speed very fast as you do by your questions. Do you think there's anything else that we haven't mentioned that needs to be mentioned?
just that we're gonna meet
The big one. Oh,
the March 27th to talk about potential cuts. It's not really the best way.
But that's, yeah, not a finance, I mean, that's the small finance,
we will continue to, yeah.
continue to meet.
To meet.
And the big
that.
finance committee is meeting on
The 28th.
20th.
And, you have at the top of your head, who's on the big finance committee?
I can
Right
go back
here.
and look. Oh,
We have a small and a big, I mean, just for Alicia.
well, I
It's right there.
can
You're
tell
on
you. Do you want me to tell you? It's,
Oh, look at that,
Oh, on it.
bingo,
Anna.
I'm on it? Where?
you were,
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't see.
Cause I can just read you off like,
finance,
Oh, there it is. Okay.
You can take Alex McKenzie. Is he still on it?
no,
no,
no. Oh, good question, good theory.
I asked him. He didn't say it.
No, he's not doing
Right.
it.
Specifically.
So that's the big committee?
Yes. It would be nice to find another parent, cause Maddie told me she can't come.
Hmm.
I think Josh Young would be good.
I can send
How
them.
about Tanya Rivers?
Tanya would be great.
Did I ask
She,
her?
yeah, you wanna ask her, she keeps saying, I wanna be more involved with the school, so
Okay.
tell her, I
Yeah.
found a way.
Yeah, she says yes.
Does Maddie still have a child
Yeah.
in school?
Asti is in seventh,
So
Aster, yes.
Picture,
And when, so So the 28th.
Yes.
And, sorry.
That's great.
At 2:30.
Business, I think we've covered director search unless there's something else. But,
Do we need to deal with any more committees or do we, we're just gonna? skip?
not that I know of.
Okay. I didn't know if you did that monthly.
Try to do that with,
Okay,
if anybody has anything.
I'll save it for, GC comments.
Okay,
Is there more specific communication within the committees? Emails, so
Those
or
depends.
something that
Depends on the
if
chair.
the meeting's canceled or.
I think it probably depends on the workings of that particular committee.
Okay.
What do you think? Are you thinking of something particular?
I just wanna.
Make sure that you're in the
Yeah.
loop
Yeah.
to add you to that. And I'll write myself a note because I probably will forget.
Is it Mark or is it,
Mark? I thought it was,
Mark runs Shack now.
it's the school nurse?
he's the one I asked if they have anything to tell me.
And Jackie, I'm gonna show you how to add and subtract from the email groups in Outlook.
Okay.
Remind me.
What? Okay. GC training check-in. I belatedly sent that the doodle form and Alex and Jim have kindly replied. I'm not sure if you had a chance to see it yet.
Lauren finished all hers.
I'm
She
sorry,
sent
it
us
doesn't
an
even
email.
matter.
I'm not in.
Why am I asking?
Thanks for including.
You're in the loop.
Okay, well then I will go over the 3 responses. And we'll schedule something.
Okay.
Bylaws amendment,
Yeah.
the one that's on in 2 different places. I sent my proposed language out today, and now Hannah's gone. We were initially under the impression that this had to be done by the end of June, and that it was gonna go to policy committee for that reason. And when I reread the email from the PED, I'm glad you're here back. That email says if we are undergoing contract negotiations with the PED this year, which we are,
We are.
we need to have that bylaw amendment in place by the time the contract's signed.
Which
That's what it
is
says.
tonight.
We're approving it tonight, it gets signed tomorrow, right? It's final tomorrow when they approve it up there.
Yeah.
So it's possible that we need to have this approved tonight, which is why I put it on the agenda, and we haven't had much time for it.
that, Harry.
Well, I didn't until today,
Ah,
when I reread the email,
There you go.
we all thought it had to be the end of June.
That's because that's what they told us. They're like, oh, it's end of June meeting.
So in that case, do you want to just go by what they told us and not worry about it?
This is something we could call Wayne.
It's so simple that I don't mind doing it right now. but-
Let's just get it over with.
Yeah,
And just with that, Harry, I'm not here tomorrow. We leave in the morning. Can
Okay.
you communicate with the PEC that it has been approved and do
yeah,
whatever
oh,
they
that part, the
need?
bylaws part?
The whole
Yeah, I
contract.
can, I have to send, the whole contract,
Mm-hmm,
assuming it gets approved, yes.
mm-hmm.
I'll do both things
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. No
Or
other
tonight.
time to do it
Well,
tonight.
Tonight,
Yeah.
possibility for the contract, I was kind of thinking I would just do that after the meeting tonight.
Okay.
But now there are 2 things, I do them all. So, I got, have you already seen what I sent as a draft,
Policy?
as a policy?
Yes,
Yes, for
I
the
know that.
bylaws amendment,
Yeah.
not for the per diem, that's a different one.
Yes, I did see it and I had a
Okay.
question about it.
Lauren, you had a chance to see it?
Yep.
Beautiful. So Jim's looking at it.
I've seen it. I just wanted to, I was going
Oh,
for the
okay.
wording on the bylaws because you basically wrote the motion.
Yes,
Yeah.
can I go, and have Alex ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're leaving, I know we talked about that instance that happened with the student council. We're leaving it in their court.
that's my proposal. And to tell you the truth, the reason I made that proposal is that this requirement that we incorporate into our bylaws, something that we do if there are no governing council members left, came from an actual school where this actually happened.
Right, I remember this discussion.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, so I was just basing it on what they did. The students are the ones who drove the process. They got the PED to rescind the recommendation that the school be dissolved. And they got the PED to accept their appointments. to be new members of the government. Council. So I was basing on that, plus the fact that I really like the idea.
I like the idea too.
Yeah.
I mean,
May never happen, but it makes sense.
I mean, I don't wanna lay a responsibility at their feet that we don't know that they can fulfill.
Well, we can't even ask, because if it happens, it could be many
Us,
years hence.
And it could be us, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine, I just wanted to sort of clarify that. That's what we're doing.
So, I guess you probably got it. The proposal is that if there are no governing council members left, which is hard to imagine how that would happen, the student council can nominate three, can appoint three, not just
Appoint,
nominate,
yeah.
appoint three. And I'm saying to staggered 1 year, 2 year, 3 year terms just to get that process going.
Do you want a motion?
Yeah.
Okay. I move that we amend our bylaws to, at the end of the vacancy section, that we add the following. I'm nearly quoting what Harry wrote. In the event that governing council membership falls to 0, the student council of Aldo Leopold Charter School shall appoint 3 new members to serve staggered 1, 2, and 3 year terms. These newly appointed members shall elect a chair, vice chair, and secretary, and shall endeavor to complete required training within 3 months of their appointments.
I need a second.
I second that.
Thanks. Further discussion. Wheels turn.
Yeah, it's not, I'm not.
Although, hearing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Approved unanimously. Thanks. So I will take responsibility for sending that amendment in.
Thank you.
Yep.
Like you kind of skipped to action items there, but whatever.
I did kind of do that, Hannah. Feel free to call me on that before.
Just
Next
noticed
time.
when I flipped
Look.
over the agenda, I'm
Yeah.
like, what are they doing?
So you're quite right.
I
Should
don't
that be
know what's
recorded?
motioning, but okay.
Right,
Yeah,
my
it's
bad.
all good, now we have one less to do.
Bingo. Okay, so not for motion yet, my bad, is certification of charter contract with the PEC. Is there any discussion of this?
I sent everyone a link to the contract and told you that it would be on the agenda. We have completed the entire renewal process. We have negotiated this new contract. The governing board needs to approve it. And that is why I sent you the drive with everything in it. So hopefully you looked over it. I will say that having negotiated it, I'm very comfortable with it. It looks great to me.
I move that we certify that.
Oh, we're not moving yet.
We're not.
I'm not gonna make the same mistake twice,
Settle down. We're not-
Why don't, I don't,
Because
then I don't
from the
understand.
back
because
of
we try to
the-
save
we're-
those for action items.
But you can have motions anytime.
You can, and that's why I'm not disqualifying what we just did. The idea of this, among other things, it makes it way easier to go back through the streaming
Tape.
version and say, okay, these are all the action items.
Okay.
If we want to
Okay.
reorganize our agenda, I am definitely not opposed to that. If people find this awkward, I have also found it awkward. This is the
It
structure
feels illogical to
I
me, but
inherited.
yeah, okay.
I inherited it too.
Yeah.
I was on the GC. We've had this structure for a
Yeah,
long
that's
time.
okay.
I agree. But I'm fine. We could have old business, parentheses, action. More rarely, new business, parentheses, action, and that's should be rare because in general, we like to have a month between considering something and approving it. And then action items would only be things that for some reason we didn't take action on during either of those other two sections.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sounds good.
I'll do that in the future.
Woohoo. New agenda.
In the meantime.
It's a
Guys?
revolution.
This is potentially bad. Did I actually send my proposed travel and per diem policy?
And
No, and Alex told you, there's nothing attached here and you never
Yeah,
responded
I-
to
Yeah,
it.
she did.
I know that. Thank you, Jack. Did I object? No, that's how I realized I never sent this. Like all of a sudden I remembered. Oh, yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, that'll go off for another meeting.
Is there any urgency on that?
I know.
I'm dying.
Jackie is on the edge of her seat for
Every
this.
month.
Is he gonna bring it?
I'm so excited. That's all I talk about, Johanna.
Yeah, no, because I don't have it in front of me. It's on my home computer, but I can summarize.
I mean, and then.
So the main thing is you heard
Yeah.
Justine say, we don't have a written policy, at least these auditors, CLA, are gonna ding us if we pay less than what the state tells us we can pay. I think that's ridiculous, personally, that's absurd, but we should have a policy. I do agree with that part. I disagree with the date. So that is at least a couple things she mentioned. She mentioned the mileage amount. And I'm proposing a much lower mileage amount. For background, the IRS publishes 4 different mileage amounts. The one that everybody talks about is the one that a small business owner can take on their personal use of their vehicle, or you, if you're a contractor, whatever. And that's really high now. It's like 70 cents a mile. It's huge. The second one is what you can take if you have to drive for medical purposes. If you're taking a medical deduction, and that's 21 cents per mile. The third,
Well, that.
right?
Healthcare.
Yeah.
The third is moving expenses, which can also be tax deductible thing. That's also 21 cents a mile. And the fourth is nonprofit. If you're donating your vehicle use to a nonprofit, you get 16 cents a mile. They have these different categories. So that's the background for my proposal, which is half of the IRS full amount. So that's going to be one of the items we're going to discuss. So y'all can be contemplating that. Part of my rationale is we have school vehicles. Usually this is a matter of preference of the employee, not the school saying you have to take your own car. And we could even build in that difference, although I didn't bother doing it. We could build that into the policy. If an employee chooses to take their own vehicle, personally, I don't feel good about 70 cents a mile round trip to Albuquerque. You know, you're talking $300 for driving your car. You could fly and take taxis and do better. So I don't like that.
Sort of reference.
Yeah.
to WMU doesn't give.
What?
They give closer to 50.
Okay, perfect. And in fact, as you heard, we get 46 or gave. I think now we're doing more because I got that amount more when I went up done.
Yeah.
The renewal here.
Just to clarify, you're suggesting 35 cents or?
It would be half, because the IRS raises it every year, so yes, this year would be 35.
So we actually, the state says the recommendation is to base it off the previous year.
Hmm.
So we would base it off of the 20,
And
Not
what
I put in
was
the policy,
the
but we could do that
amount?
also.
65.
65 was the amount for 20.
That's where I got that.
Yeah, perfect. And that, right. We don't have to do that if we're paying less.
Yeah.
We don't care about what the state says.
Right.
If we can't pay more. So, right.
I mean, the only quibble I would have with your argument, Harry, is that those school vehicles are enormous gas guzzlers.
Yeah.
This is,
Unless
maybe
we
a
get
law.
the Maverick.
so
Yeah,
maybe you will.
I mean,
Right, this is part of why I do want us to not, I think the way we do, well, I could be wrong. When I imagined that I read our policy, I imagined that it said, you shall take a school vehicle unless you get special permission. Is that your current policy?
Yes, I think, yes.
Okay, I think that is,
And only also too, because, I thought we had like really small vehicles and stuff like that, but we don't.
right.
And then.
Not
and then-
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
By
Yeah,
that
but
Maverick.
that's
By the
where, that's where the Maverick.
41's
comes in.
good, but that's, no, that's not 57 or 0, whatever, infinite.
Yeah,
Electric
and one of the things is a lot of the staff were coming to me and they said, well, I have a hybrid, I have this, I have that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to us because we're paying you per mile, so you're actually telling me you're making a profit.
I made a profit, I'm telling you that right now, right? And I don't feel good about it, so that's why I want a different
Yeah,
price.
no, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Um,
Did your travel policy include meal
Wow.
So that was the second item. And I've been reading the state law and I think she misdescribed it. The state law does not say you shouldn't pay $59 a day for per diem if that's not your actual expense. It actually says that is what you should do. And in exceptional cases, you can do actual expense reimbursement. And if you do an actual expense reimbursement that is over the $59 cap, you need permission from whoever is the agency, in this case, the school director, to do that. So, so the policy I'm suggesting says the default is you get paid the state rate for per diem, which covers both food and lodging. And you do not need to return receipts. That's one of the benefits of paying this per diem thing. You don't have to keep your receipts and turn them in. You get an automatic amount. The downside is it's not very much. If you try going 24 hours in Santa Fe for the amount that's available to you, you will have a very hard time doing it unless you have, are good at dumpster diving.
I'm sorry, there are different rates though, or is
Yes.
the state one rate, but there's
For
an out-of-state
what?
rate, there's an in-state rate, there's a.
They have done away with the different out of state. There used to be a different out of state. They've done away with that. You can still request more, again, by permission, if you're gonna spend more. They do still have the two rates for Santa Fe and the rest of
and the
state.
rest of the state. Yeah.
My recollection is that's lodging, not food. But I don't, I admit I'm not sure about that. In any case, the policy I'm gonna suggest, mainly for simplicity, but also because I think it's economical for us, is we automatically pay per diem, and if you want something different, you get permission and you turn in receipts.
And there is a separate per diem for Santa Fe or no?
Yes,
Okay.
it's higher.
So Harry, I'm gonna disagree with you.
Yes, please.
Because, so when you go to the conferences, I know that whenever we go to the finance conferences, they feed us. So they feed us, breakfast and lunch. So usually whenever we get receipts, it's like a dinner and like one person cannot eat $59.
Your per diem is not based on the whole day, it's based on per meal. If
What?
you have 2 meals covered by the conference, your per diem is only the dinner amount, which I think is 25.
I thought, like, I may be mistaken, but I agreed with Justine that it was $59
That's the max.
every 24 hours.
Got it.
regardless.
Then there's a sentence that says, if meals are provided by the conference or the school, in our case, those prorated amounts have to be subtracted. And there's a breakfast, lunch, and dinner amount. that you
So just
subtract.
make sure that's in our policy, right?
So I put it in my
Yeah.
proposal. Yeah.
I'll look at that as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, and that's obviously something people cheat on.
Because I saw some of the reimbursements that were being done before and they were like 59, and that's a lot.
Mhm.
It was so much. But when we started requiring the itemized receipts, then it dropped it down significantly, like a lot, like more than half. That's
People were going for a day on $30
a lot less.
because food was being
Yeah,
provided.
because food was being provided.
So we're not supposed to pay 59 again,
Well, no, and we
if food
weren't,
is
yeah,
provided.
right. And we were just going by the itemized receipts.
But I mean, even if they're not on that.
Okay, I'll look into that.
No, I think that's a great point. And I think the main reason that gets violated is people don't know it. And so when people request travel, I think all you have to do is explain, hey, if the meals are provided, the excess part is all you're getting from the for.
No, that makes sense, but
Okay. Any other discussion on those items? Okay. The part-time employee resolution, you want to explain that?
Sure.
You want me to?
Well, I'll put this up. if
Oh,
you
wait, no,
can
we
start.
decided we didn't have to put it on.
Oh, wait, we don't have to do it at all.
Scratch,
I
Justin
forgot, I
reminded us.
forgot.
Didn't have to put that on, I forgot.
I totally forgot. Thank you, Harry, for remembering that.
Talk about it.
That is a non-issue.
During the finance committee. That's when Justin reminded us we don't have to put it on.
And she said, sorry, I should have put that in the email.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
oh, I put it on the agenda.
Now we're on action items. It
That's-
is, but it
that's-
doesn't have to be. Would you like to do it now?
Seems like there's a inertia after the action items.
Yes, that's true. Everyone's gone. Not much time for input.
I needed to remind me what I was gonna do. No, let's do the action items.
Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah.
Because I'm not remembering either. Certification of charter contract with the PEC. Think we're ready for a motion in a second.
I move that we certify the I move that we endorse the certification of the charter contract with the PEC, because it's already been certified. Correct.
I don't know the terminology.
I don't know the
Truth?
terminology
just
because it
approve
only happens every 5 years.
Prove it?
I think that's what I said, or did you say support?
I think you said endorse,
Endorse.
and I think we should approve.
I think we should improve it. I'd like to start all over. I move that we approve the certification of charter contract with the Public Education Commission.
Something on you? A second.
Woo-hoo.
I don't understand some current, what's going on here? Do I need to? About the contract? This is our renewal contract for 5? Okay. You want to just abstain?
I do.
Okay.
You mean eagle eye for that?
That wasn't evil.
Okay.
That was dubious.
That's just how we got it. Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Abstain.
We have a 3 to 0 to 1. 3 to 0 with 1 abstention.
I don't have a
Thank you,
column, so I
Jen.
have to
You
fix
don't
it.
have the column for abstention.
I'm gonna have to fix that.
Travel per diem policy has been tabled due to my disorganization. Bylaws amendment has already been approved, check mark. The bar, we have $10,000 in additional revenue to incorporate into the budget.
I make a motion that we approve bar 28.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved unanimously. Governing council input, speak now or forever hold the peace.
There's actually something about Power School and the leak. Did that ever get resolved?
Oh, that's a really good question. So if you were affected by the data breach that Power School is our student information system, as I've mentioned, there was a massive data breach across the country. Student personal identifiable information, parents, everyone. If they stole your information, they would have emailed you by now. I know because my daughter's information was stolen. But they have been communicating with me. I mean, the Power School with the director saying, we're working on it. We'll let people know if their data was stolen. And I thought, yeah, right. And then I got an email saying, hey, yeah, your daughter's.
Right, I got that.
information
I got a similar thing from,
But
but what I got from Silver was that message.
Ah.
If your data has been stolen, you will be gotten,
Yeah, you will
So-
be contacted.
perhaps.
If they haven't contacted you yet, you're probably clear. 'Cause
Okay, so
those
but
staff
perhaps other
members
parents are still.
whose like social
concerned.
security numbers were stolen,
Right.
yeah. They
Can we
were
let
notified.
parents know that that's the case?
Thank you. I'd be happy to. I totally fell off my radar. I will send out Parent Square regarding
Power School.
Power School data breach.
Mentioned that we are planning a fundraiser for May 18th.
the dance, you said. No?
Yeah.
Oh, that was you. Sorry.
It's gonna be,
That was it.
it's gonna be a whole mess of things. It's gonna.
A
we're gonna have-
smorgasbord of
Smorgasbord,
delight.
Yes, we're gonna have
is what
lots
we're
of
gonna call
music,
that.
we're gonna have, kids playing, Aldo kids will play.
Rhetorical.
Illustrious father of what would.
Dan Burnt, well,
Dan
no,
Byrne, maybe Dustin Hammond will
maybe
join.
Dustin's
It's gonna
coming.
be at Zocalo. It's a Sunday afternoon, it's gonna
Afternoon.
be, hopefully, I mean. it's a
The
little
day
bit-
after graduation.
Yeah.
And the,
Oh,
and the
good.
end of Kip
Thank you.
Grandly,
That's right.
so that'll be the end of
Nice.
the Kip Grandly period.
It's gonna be awesome.
And essentially sort of a kickoff to, we want to celebrate our 20th graduating class.
Our 20-year anniversary, big deal.
So
It's
that's
gonna
our
be a
20th graduating
year-long
class And the
celebration.
kickoff of our 20th fundraising.
It really is gonna be good. We're gonna have some good stuff.
We're gonna have fun.
Cancel my trip to college.
Great that you even thought of that, that's very noble.
So Harry, and the comment about the dance was really to offset what Dr. Smith was saying about the same old tired ideas. that we should make.
Yeah, thank you. This sounds like a smorgasbord of delight.
Yeah.
It's clearly not the same tired idea.
No, but he was talking about something different,
No, I realize. I'm just
the annual,
backing
golf
this idea.
tournament.
What?
Fun run. He likes a fun run.
Just golf tournament.
Disc golf, I could go.
That's a good
Set
idea.
it up.
It's a great-
It is. We get a lot of participation for a disc.
Jerry can organize.
Oh, yeah,
He's
it's a
a
great
pro.
idea. Disc golf,
It is. It's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Get
We
your-
all like it.
$100 an entry.
He knows all the players.
I've got a little contribution for GC comments. If we're-
Okay,
if we're-
yeah, we are there.
Okay. What? Yeah, I think we've already begun it. This is an awkward subject, but I feel some due diligence to talk about this, at the last curriculum committee, there was a lot of a number of staff expressed their dismay, panic about things being tight financially at the schools. People were very nervous about their jobs and their future at the school. Hannah handled the questions. It really was a session of dealing with that issue for at least the first half of the curriculum committee meeting. I felt like you responded to it well. I was just kind of taking the temperature of the staff. I think transparency is really good in terms of, hey, this is what's going on with the budget. We are $600,000 short, with that $3 million budget, roughly speaking. We're funded for 2.4. I think having those facts out there is a good thing, but I could be wrong. Maybe everybody will come to you with their suggestion for what has to happen, but just putting it out there is better than, some people were discussing, well, Hannah and Harry talked and they came to this decision. It was like, well, I don't think there were any decisions. We've got to consider every option from, how we pay EAs to if we're not replenishing a position as director of the middle school. I don't know how much information is out there, but having gone through this a number of times in my 14 years in the school, we're always sweating. Well, not always, but many times we're just like, wow, gotta be nervous about raises. I don't know, just keeping the information out there is good. I just detected, and I realize I'm on film, but I detected a little bit of, well, the board thinks this and they don't know. I was picking up on that. I think the board is hyper aware of this and worried and concerned, and some of the board are former staff members. So anyway. Just got it.
I applaud this idea. I think it's transparency is key, and especially in a community like this where rumors just start going.
All the time. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but how would we approach it?
I don't know. Is there a staff appreciation day coming up
Yeah.
soon? Because I know the board, I don't know if the board has had a role in that. I mean, I know it was a SAC thing, and I liked it. I thought it was like, yeah, that's cool. People are paying attention. I don't know if the board would want to do something at that point. Maybe.
I think
it's
that's
a link.
such a good idea, Jim. I think that to build some trust there, having something that the board did during teacher appreciation week would be awesome. And I'm not saying there's no trust there. I don't know the right
Yeah.
word, just to build community and connection through acknowledgement.
And I think it's more, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Well, I was struck at our meeting of the head search meeting. Rita said, I don't even know who the GC people are. I never see them at the school. It's like, yeah, you do. Because I want them, but I don't go down the hall. So I don't have my.
We
GC name
need
tag.
special
And so-
medallions for
Right.
you guys.
So maybe just
Just
being, obvious and present for something where people are seeing. I
Well,
think it's good board relations.
Jennifer Lepiska has mentioned that a number of times. She's extended invitations for governing council people to attend her classes to see what it's like. And no one's taking her up on it. Okay, maybe I said it wrong. I thought that's what she said.
And I went
No,
backpacking
I-
with her
it's
last.
not
Alex
that we haven't
went.
Attended her classes. Saying that what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So anyway, people could do that outside the appreciation.
Sure.
It
that
strikes
too.
me that the appreciation, sorry, just one more thing.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be about budgetary matters, right? That would be about governing council understands you, that's teachers.
Yeah, and appreciate.
And appreciate. Whereas we need to
Consistent
communicate budget
transparency.
things
I
early.
speak
than
to the middle school and the high school at every meeting, every week, if I
Okay.
have any information.
Perfect.
Because we don't have all staff meetings, but once a month, if we're lucky. It's a hard way to communicate. I do send out, update emails when I can. But communication is challenging and transparency, Alex, even if I feel like I'm being transparent, people will misinterpret it or not hear it or not be there that day and miss the information. So it's always a challenge and it's something that is just an ongoing goal, to make sure people know what's going on, feel comfortable, know they can ask me questions. And I do think they do, for the most part, but uncertainty, my leaving creates
Yep.
uncertainty.
Yes.
And I acknowledge that and I've been trying to deal with it, but there is no way around it. And that is an uncomfortable place for people to be, and I regret that that's how it
Yeah.
is, but it is.
During the appreciation. One open thing, come leave the board. I think I used to have them before.
Okay.
This is what I was getting.
I don't
to.
know where it is, when it
Right,
is, so
it's
that's
not
what you
till May.
guys were talking about, but to just have a panel or an open forum, come meet the board, ask questions about what's happening,
Share your concerns.
share your concerns.
Yeah. And I think a lot of new staff don't really even understand the function of a governing council, what they do, who they are, and it would be a great way to help them, get on board.
Or at least understand it.
Understand the process.
What we-
Yes.
Right, actually required and.
Yeah.
Has financial implications.
And we're sweating bullets maybe in a different way than they are, but we're thinking hard about it.
Right.
Maybe that's
And
what they
with
also
them,
need. Maybe they need from us a broad sketch of what we are doing.
We don't know yet what we are doing. That's the
Well,
problem with that.
But that's a good time to get input.
Yeah.
So if
For
that's
sure.
part of it.
Yeah.
When would be an appropriate time to? What's such an event, you think? I mean, that seems to me like it should be before our April meeting. That's why I meant it has to be way earlier than
Yeah.
May. I think it even has to be earlier than our April meeting, because we're gonna make some important decisions.
I'm just pulling up the school calendar.
We've got spring break coming up.
Yeah, next week is spring break. That won't work.
When is the April meeting?
And we will have just a couple teachers out with the junior class the week, the last week of March, first week of April. The whole middle school will be gone the week after spring break for the 26th and 27th. They are here on the 28th, but then a lot of the high school is. So I really think that finding a day when no one's out on trips,
Maybe it's a weekend.
the week of April 7th, the week before our next board meeting, the 7th, 8th, 9th, everyone's here. It might be nice to also just invite people. Like, I know that I force staff to come and give a presentation, but there are some staff who have never done that, who don't know what this looks like, who don't know what the meetings look like. It would be nice to get some involvement. That would be great. But I don't know what people's availability the 7th through 9th looks like.
I would,
Or
really. Oh,
you in Croatia.
Unless I change. Springs.
Colorado.
I also would want to be prepared for this session too, because I think we're going to be asked questions that we don't know the answers to. I mean, I would want to, that's the problem. We're not gonna meet before this meeting, and I don't mean it has to be rehearsed, but I also, I think we should define what the meeting is for.
Yeah.
Okay, if that makes sense, because we're not here to answer really specific budgetary questions about, this is what we've been thinking about doing. And maybe that's, I could anticipate that question coming
Which question, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, what are you guys thinking about doing to balance
right.
the budget? And it's,
Yeah, we want to, I think, explain at the outset that we haven't made decisions, and that's why it's important to provide input.
Even the idea that decisions are going to have to be made is not necessarily, not everybody's
It
aware of.
has to be communicated.
Right.
And so I think we can easily explain the outlines of the crisis. I mean, I'm happy to put, for example, that graph.
Sure,
if
I
that-
think that
if
that's really
helpful.
useful.
um, Go through some kind of a brief narrative. But to just say that we want to hear your concerns given these needs, I think is a valuable thing to do, and
I think it is too.
I appreciate that. So I said horrible,
What's horrible?
the 7th through the 9th.
Oh.
The 9th actually, depending on what time of day. I could do the afternoon of the 9th.
Can we do this in person?
Yes,
Oh.
person, yes, you should
Yeah.
be here as humans.
But I also don't think it's absolutely mandatory for every government council member. I think it would be nice.
Yeah, I
But-
think it'd be nice. I think we're gonna do it.
yeah, we're,
Yeah,
so just to clarify, is the week of April 1st through 4th out? Is that not feasible?
It's, the only thing is, there will be staff out on the junior trip.
Okay, okay.
When's it due?
I see
The
it.
31st
is it? Okay.
through the
Since I have it.
3rd, yeah.
So you're considering doing this during the school day, or,
great question.
I mean, I'm trying to balance in my head what this would look like. If you're saying there could be inevitably uncomfortable questions because we're in an uncomfortable situation. I don't know, from my experience, making it a more natural thing could make it less,
Awkward and weird.
yeah, and negative. Like if it's just like a standalone event where we're all just sitting in this room and it's like, okay, next question, it could be just,
Was there a Monday staff
I would feel
meeting?
uncomfortable, and I think if I was a staff, I would be like.
There's a
Yeah.
Monday high school meeting and a Wednesday middle school.
Is there any way that we could invite with the mid-school feel shortchanged if you said, please come to the Monday meeting or? Yes, okay. So you said is Wednesday better for you, Gary? So what about the high school? Say, hey, you don't have a Monday meeting, we're gonna have the board, the governing council wanted to meet with you and hear from you about this. And have middle school and high school in a big staff meeting in this room. It would not be with other business going on, pertinent to what you're talking about. Does that
I
make sense?
think that might be okay. The one thing is that they need those meetings, right? So if we co-opt the meeting, then we create resentment for taking their precious time, and their time is super precious.
Is that during the school day?
No, the meetings are after school. High school meets every Monday after school 3:45. Middle school meets every Wednesday after school 3:40.
Could we make, like, the extension, could we be invited to the meeting, listen to what they have going on, and then anyone would like to stay after
Stay after.
and
Hmm.
chat? That way we're like kind of involved. On a separate but related note, I'm curious if it's a formal thing or not, that, board members are encouraged to come on an experiential or,
Yeah, you're totally
to-
encouraged. Yeah. Come on a
Is it- I don't
Friday,
know.
come
I'd
on
be
and see,
interested.
yeah, that would be
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, because that's just another like natural
Yeah.
way that people see you and get to know you and see that like you want. That's fine. I did not previously work here. I'm not a parent, so it's
Yeah.
like, I want to show.
Yeah.
So both ends, right? Like you should come.
Yes, yes,
Right.
totally, yeah, both.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do, I will help you coordinate, I will support it. I do think the meetings get just tricky because so much planning goes on. Like the middle school uses that whole time to plan their Friday, to talk about it, to go through the agenda, to go through the itinerary. And high school has other stuff in general that we're working on.
How long is the meeting?
I know, those after
So what
school.
if we ask you to stay
Stay,
15 minutes after?
Right, let them get all their business taken care of.
Yeah.
We're,
That's what-
It's just that there's two separate days then.
Also 15 minutes, maybe woefully.
But that's
But
not,
that's theirs.
you're offering to be there.
So
to answer
I
questions.
vote we don't even say the amount of time, we just say stay after. like-
Stay after if you
Yeah,
like, sure.
okay.
And I think it shows even more respect if we go to both.
I agree with that.
Because it's value their times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
So
And then-
would the messaging be that during on the April 7th, GC will be available after the high school meeting for questions, just to introduce
Sure.
themselves, make sure everybody knows each other and see if there's anything on your mind. Same thing on the 9th for middle school, you'll be available after that.
Is that gonna give us enough time for our meeting?
We weren't gonna have any before though, anyway,
Right.
but- so now we're gonna have two sessions.
Well,
of
and
it.
framing it, I guess how we're gonna frame it as an informal, like, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Just a
I mean,
chat.
from my perspective, I'm not going to be equipped to answer a lot, but I can hear people and write notes. I mean, there are other ways to have people be heard than have a direct answer, especially like the one that you're not going to be at. I'd be like, I don't know what to say, but I can definitely hear it, take note of it and address it at another meeting.
Sure. And I think, I mean, even though we have a meeting on the 10th, we're not making some giant action on the 10th, you're just getting input. It's not to,
We're getting it, but we're offering not the opportunity for people to ask questions.
In a
Not
timely
necessary.
fashion.
Yeah.
The question about that, is that gonna be, when we're talking about personnel, I know not talking about individual personnel, but is that meeting, does it have to be absolutely 100% public? Is there a closed session option to talk about specific positions? Okay.
Absolutely not. You know?
Okay.
I mean, if people want to talk about their performance evaluations or something, I'm sure.
Yeah,
I think you could offer the option to send.
Absolutely. They can communicate with us all they want.
Yeah,
But
so-
if we're having a meeting with the quorum present,
No, I'm
Right.
saying if somebody's uncomfortable,
oh, absolutely.
then they can ask
We
the
can have
question
a-
privately.
We can have a little box.
A little-
Have a little feedback.
feedback
box.
suggestion box.
Should we just do a confessional?
You know what?
Confessional.
Confessional. People are-
Okay, so to be clear, we're planning to be there for the meeting, which is Monday at 3:45 here.
I'd say 350 if,
So,
yeah,
I understand the idea of showing respect, but my recollection of those meetings,
we discussed,
I would have been looking askance at this person. Why didn't you-
and we discussed student-specific concerns often. So it may not, you may not need to be there, but let me talk to the staff, get some feedback, see what they want it to look like, see what they want, and how they want to organize it, and then I'll let you know, but keep those dates open.
7th and the
And
9th.
the 7th and the 9th, and then we'll go from there, and I'll be in communication.
Either 340 or so, or 440, so.
Both, yeah, exactly, yeah, probably 440, but you never know, maybe they want to use that whole time.
Mhm.
Jim, that's a really good idea, I'm glad you brought that up, the curriculum committee,
7th and 9th.
7th and 9th.
You guys needed some more dates on the calendar. I just
I
wanted,
did.
I'm there for you.
Same.
Any other governing council? This is adjourned. 7:23.
No, 7.1,
Then,
sorry.
Chris, you know, you have to.
Oh,
stop
just changed. I turned
Stop.
earlier.